to Chapter 9, Sarah Plain and Tall, Chapter 9. It was very quiet, the dogs laying down to eat the hailstones. Seal stepped around them and then leapt on the fence to groom herself. A tree had blown over near the pond, and the wild roses were scattered on the ground, as if a wedding had come and gone there. I'm glad I saved an armful, was all Sarah had said. Only one field was badly damaged, and Sarah and Papa hitched up the horses and plowed and replanted during the next 2 days. The roof had held.
Hey, Mommy.
What?
You did something like this. Like a little tiny short C. I don't know what that means.
Go give me your book. Sorry. I told you I know about roofs, said Sarah, making him smile. Papa kept his promise to Sarah. When the work was done, he took her out into the field, Papa riding Jack, who was Sly, and Sarah riding Old Bess. Sarah was a quick learn. Too quick.
Mommy!
R.
That does not look...
Wait, here's the words. G-I-R-L.
That does not look like an R.
He doesn't like my handwriting. Okay. Too quick, said Caleb, complaining to me as we watched from the fence. He thought for a moment. Maybe she'll fall off and have to stay here. Why, he asked, turning me. Why does she have to go away alone? Hush up, Caleb, I said crossly. Hush up. Did you draw a picture of them playing?
What?
You have to draw a picture of them playing in their yard. Okay. I could get sick and make her stay here, he said. No. We could tie her up. No. And then Caleb began to cry, and I took him inside the barn where we could both cry. Papa and Sarah came to hitch the horses up to the wagon and so Sarah could practice driving. Papa didn't see Caleb's tears. He set him with an axe to begin chopping up the tree by the pond for firewood. I stood and watched Sarah, the reins in her hands, and Papa next to her in the wagon. I could see Caleb standing by the pond, one hand shading his eyes, watching too. I went into the safe darkness of the barn then. Sarah's chickens scuttled along behind me. Why? I asked out loud, echoing Caleb's questions. The chickens watched me, and their eyes small and bright. Stop thumping.
That's my sister.
The next morning, Sarah got up early and put on her blue dress. She took apples to the barn, and she loaded a bundle of hay onto the wagon for Old Bess and Jack, and she put on her yellow bonnet. Remember, Jack, said Papa, has a strong hand. Yes, Jacob. And best to be home before dark, said Papa. Driving the wagon is hard if there's no full moon. Yes, Jacob. She kissed all of us, even my father, who looked surprised. Take care of Seal, she said to Caleb and me, and then with a whisper to Old Bess and a stern word to Jack, Sarah climbed up into the wagon and drove away. Very good, murmured Papa as he watched, and after a while he turned and went into the fields. Caleb and I watched Sarah from the porch. Caleb took my hand and the dogs lay down beside us. It was sunny, and I remembered another time when the wagon had taken Mama away. It had been the day just like this, and Mama had never come back. Seal jumped up on the porch, her feet making small thump. Caleb leaned down and picked her up and walked inside. I took the broom and slowly swept the porch, and then watered Sarah's plants, and Caleb cleaned out the wood stove and carried ashes to the barn, spilling them so that I had to sweep the porch again. I am loud and pesky, cried Caleb suddenly. You said so. And she has gone to buy a train ticket to go away. No, Caleb, she would have told us. The house is too small. That's what it is, said Caleb. The house is not too small, I said. I looked at Sarah's drawings of the field and pinned it up on the wall next to the window. What is missing? I asked Caleb. You said you knew what was missing. Colors, said Caleb wearily. The colors of the sea. Outside, the clouds moved into the sky and went away. We took lunch to Papa, the cheese and the bread and the lemonade. Caleb nudged me. Ask him. Ask Papa. What has Sarah got to do? I don't know, said Papa. He squinted at me, and then he sighed and put one hand on Caleb's head and one on mine. Sarah is Sarah. She does things her way, you know. Oh, I know, said Caleb softly. Papa picked up the shovel and put on his hat. Ask if he's coming back, asked Caleb. Of course she's coming back, I said. Seal is here. But I would not ask the question. I was afraid to hear the answer. We fed the sheep, and I set the table for dinner. 4 plates. The sun was dropping lower over the fields in the west. Lottie and Nick stood at the door, wagging their tails, asking for supper. Papa came to light the stove, and when it was dusk, soon it would be dark. Caleb sat on the porch steps, turning his moon snail shell over and over in his hand. Seal brushed the back and forth against him. Suddenly, Lottie began to bark, and Nick jumped off the porch. Dust! Cried Caleb. He climbed the porch and stood on the roof. Dust in a yellow bonnet! Slowly the wagon came around the windmill in the barn and the windbreak and into the yard. Dogs jumped happily beside it. Hush, dog, said Sarah, and Nick leapt into the wagon to sit by Sarah. Papa took the reins and Sarah climbed down from the wagon. Caleb burst into tears. Seal was very worried, he cried. Sarah put her arms around him and he wailed into her dress. And the house is too small, we thought, and maybe I'm too loud and pesky. Sarah looked at Papa and me over Caleb's head. We thought you might be thinking of leaving us, I told her, because you miss the sea. Sarah smiled. No, she said, I will always miss my old home, but the truth is I would miss you more. Papa smiled at Sarah, and then he bent quickly to unhitch the horses from the wagon. He led them to the barn for water. Sarah handed me a package. For Anna, she said, and Caleb, for all of us. A package was small, wrapped in brown paper with a rubber band around it. Very carefully, I unwrapped it. Caleb peered closely. Inside, there were 3 colored pencils. Blue, said Caleb, and gray, and green. And Sarah nodded. And suddenly, Caleb grinned. Papa, he called quickly. Papa, come quick. Sarah has brought the sea. And that's the end of the book. But they have a dun 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 afterwards. We ate our night meal by the candlelight, the 4 of us. Sarah had brought candles from town and the nasturtium seeds for her garden and a book of songs to teach us. It is late, and Caleb is nearly sleeping by his plate, and Sarah is smiling at my father. Soon there will be a wedding. Papa says that when the preacher asks if he will have Sarah for his wife, he will answer, uh-huh. Autumn will come, then winter, cold with winds that blow like the wind off the sea in Maine, and there will be nests of curls to look for and dried flowers all winter long, and then there will be storms, and Papa will stretch a rope from the door to the barn so we will not be lost when we feed the sheep and the cows and Jack and old Bess and Sarah's chickens if they aren't living in the house. And then there will be Sarah's sea, blue and gray and green, hanging on the wall, and songs, old ones and new ones, and Seal with yellow eyes, and there will be Sarah, plain and tall. The end. It was a pretty good book. There's actually a sequel where they go visit Maine with Sarah. But anyways,